Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Little Hollow Homestead. I was looking through my past videos, and the last time we were down in the garden is when I was planting my potatoes and cabbage. So I thought I'd bring you up to date, take you down and show you what's going on down there. It's changed a little bit, and we'll go check it out. A lot more leaves on the oak brush. You see these yellow wildflowers are starting to die back now. Okay, we got a thunderstorm blowing in, so I'm going to try and get this done before we get soaked here. But when I trellis my tomatoes up these trellises, you see my peas growing up behind them. Probably planted my peas a little bit too late. But that's okay. We'll let them do their thing. Hopefully we'll get enough for a dinner off of them. Okay, so what I do to trellis my tomatoes up my vertical panels here is I'll just cut a piece of string, just let it hang here, just cotton twine. I like this better than nylon because I think the plants grip this a little better as they grow up. But they're just going to grow up, and as they grow up around here, I'll just take and get these to just kind of go around it, and as it grows up, we'll just keep putting the vines of the tomato up this trellis. It'll attach to the fence a little bit as well, but this really helps support the tomato plants. So I'll do that with all my tomatoes, and then I will show you how I prune my tomatoes. Looks like they are ready for a good pruning. We'll show you that process here. I'll get you a little bit closer so you can see. So what I like to use for trimming my tomato plants is a nice sharp pair of little scissors like this. I think the sharper the better. I think sometimes pruning shears kind of fray the edges when you actually prune. So if you look right here, we got a sucker growing right here in the crotch of this tomato plant. So we're going to get that out of the way first thing. Now you can take and soak these in a glass of water, and they will actually form roots, and you can have a new tomato plant. So I will save a few of these and we'll do that. But I like to get my tomatoes so we don't have any leaves touching the ground, any branches. Tomatoes like to be dry. They don't like their leaves to get wet. So I do not sprinkle irrigate my tomatoes for that reason. Give them a nice little haircut. Got some little suckers growing right here. You can really get in the crotches of these tomato plants with these little scissors. You don't have those big, heavy, bulky pruning shears, which I like. So there you go. That one is good for right now. If you can see, I'll get you off of here. So if you look at this tomato plant, I've taken all the limbs off that could potentially touch the ground. I've taken and cut out any suckers in the crotch of these tomato plants. So this one is good to keep going, and we'll trim it during the season as needed. So now it's on to the next one. If you look at this one, there is a great example of a sucker right here. We're going to take that guy right off. We're going to get all these limbs off the bottom so nothing is touching the dirt, and we've got a few plants to grow. Everything is pretty healthy. Let's show you, take you on a little tour. Cabbage plants, except where I just busted that one. Cabbage is all doing good. Initially we had an issue with some slugs going after the cabbage, but we've taken care of that with a little bit of 7 dust. That's done real well. Cucumbers, looks like they're all doing fairly well. Need a drink of water. You can see I've got marigolds. There's a good example. I've got a marigold planted. Just about every pot is a natural pest repellent. We got our yellow wax beans going. We've got our okra going. We've got zucchini here, here, and here. And we've got spaghetti squash butternut squash growing all along here. We had one squash plant that didn't make it, so I plopped a tomato in there just to make use of that. I've also noticed that one of my potato pots didn't grow. So we'll go find some seeds or something to plant in that and make use of that. You can see I've already harvested lettuce and beet greens and spinach. We've made a couple of salads. That's really all I grow the lettuce for, is just for a few salads here and there. Sweet potatoes. First year I've tried sweet potatoes. These are from slips that my son got going. They are doing okay. I hope they start running and sending out some vines here pretty soon. I know they take a long time to mature, but hopefully all their energy is going into roots and making sweet potatoes right now. Looks like I've got one volunteer potato right here. We may choose to leave that. He's not doing any harm. But there you go. The garden is off to a roaring start this summer. We'll do the same with these squash plants as they start to vine out. We'll see if we can train them to go up this vertical panel, get them off the ground and away from the squash bugs. So I'm going to get busy right now and start pruning tomatoes and getting my little support twines in place. My asparagus is doing well. I've got some more volunteer potatoes going in there. Probably pull those because I'm not going to disturb that asparagus bed. This is the second year. So second year, you want them to grow. You don't want to harvest anything until about the fourth year. I think third year you might get away with harvesting enough to make a meal, which is really all I'm growing this one pot for, is just for a couple of meals of asparagus. But we're going to let them go to seed this year and probably next, and then the fourth year we'll actually start harvesting some of those asparagus plants. So here again, cabbage is doing great down there, and we've got some volunteer onions. I left them in the ground, let those go to seed again, just as a natural pest repellent. I also left some wild sunflowers growing here to provide a little color to the garden, also a little bit of shade in the hot summer. Those sunflowers really come in handy for that. So I'll get busy here and we'll show you the tomatoes when they're all trimmed up. So here's a prime example why I like these little scissors, to come in and get these little suckers like that. Cuts them nice and clean, no frayed ends, and you can really get in and work your tomatoes without disturbing them too much. All right, so there you go. My tomatoes are all pruned. We've got the twine in place, and we'll just wait for them to start growing tall enough to start attaching to that twine. I am going to take, got a handful of clippings here. I'm going to go put in some water and see if we can't get some roots growing on these, and we'll have some more tomato plants in no time. So I was going to tell you, I tried making the weed tea for fertilizer for your plants. So I've got all the plants watered, and that's the remnants. Those are the weeds that decomposed and leached their nutrients into the water that I now fed to my plants. Found a very helpful tip. If you do this, if you choose to do this, put the buckets of these way down away from your garden. They stink and they attract flies like crazy. So there's a little tip for you. If you do this, I will probably do it again, but I'm going to put those buckets way down there. Hey, one thing I failed to mention, I did get my drip system all installed. You can see it doing its thing. All 90 something pots I've got have a drip line running to them. I wish I would have done this years ago. This is a huge time saver, and it's working out really well so far. I did find what I'm going to plant in this empty bucket of potatoes. I just went through my seeds and found this lettuce seed. So we'll plant another bucket of lettuce right there. I had some extra time tonight and had this old, it was actually just some a packing tube that some equipment came in that I had. So I thought I would pipe this section of the ditch I created to funnel the runoff away from my chicken coop. That way, at least I could have this flat runway to get in and out of my chickens. Before, it was slanted about like that. And it was slippery when it was wet. And of course, there was mud all over everything because that water we had coming down that runoff coated everything in silt. But I've got it cleaned up pretty good, and we're going to leave the channel here in front of the shed and all the way down, just in case we get any more runoff. So I don't know, I think this looks a lot better than it did. I'll continue building this little rock wall. I took my mulch pit out that was right there. I don't know if you noticed that before in the videos, but my mulch pit, again, really close to the garden and my little shed here, and it stunk and really didn't do very good. And I've got Stella excavating. Hey, Stella, what are you after? Let's not do that, Kay. Thank you so much. All right, naughty little puppy. She likes the smell of that mulch. I put that mulch and covered this pipe with that. Well, thanks for stopping by a Little Hollow Homestead today, whatever time it is in your part of the world. I appreciate you watching. Hope you found a little bit of value in what I shared here and my little journey to create a self-sustaining garden. At least provide as much food as I possibly can for my family. That's my goal. So until next time, I hope you have a good day. I've got Stella digging again, so I'm going to go take care of her. And appreciate the subscriptions, and the thumbs up are always appreciated. Let me know where you are in the world. It'd be interesting to find out who's watching. And so thank you again, and you have a great day, and we'll catch you on the next one.